Back in Zen mode. Let's go.
Oh
Right.
boy, let's get
This
pumped.
is. Let's get pumped. You're more enthusiastic than I am, or at least it comes across that way in your mic now. But all right. Welcome back to the After Credits podcast. You've been on maternity
Woo!
leave.
Welcome back.
Yay! You clearly have no one home.
I do.
You do. You just don't care. That's nah.
It's not good.
The fair enough. Yes, we've been on maternity leave. Reborn. Podcast is reborn. Anyway,
Back,
today,
baby.
obviously, from the title, we're talking about the first real important film of this year, because frankly, this year's been kind of shit.
It's been a rough one.
It was good on paper, I thought, before we got into the year, and then we got into the year, and it's been pretty. We've had some stinkers, we've had some mediocre schlop again, but we've had things like Sinners as well.
Can I
Yes.
can I be honest? I
Which
can
are
only
positive.
think of, other than this film, I can only think of 4 films I've enjoyed that I've seen in the cinema this year.
Complete Unknown and Sinners are probably the only things I've enjoyed this year. I would
F1.
have thought.
Mickey,
Oh, F1. That's
Mickey
true.
Mickey 17.
I didn't see that yet. I
That's
want to
such
see
a
it first.
such a good film.
Bong Joon-ho.
Sinners, F1, and Thunderbolts. Those are the 4 films I've
Thunderbolts,
seen that
yes.
I really enjoyed.
Thunderbolts is.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that today, but we can a little.
But say that it's bloody July, and it's shocking that we can only name 4 films. It's like, oh yeah, we've
Yeah.
had a pretty good time.
And also, we had our big lineup was Jurassic World, Superman, and obviously next week, Fantastic Four. My prediction was that Superman was going to be the best of those films, and so far that is true. But I kind of hope it's not, because Fantastic Four is. I want it to be good. Really good, but who knows? Anyway, today is Superman, obviously. So first, honestly, probably the first real big film this year that I actually give a shit about. Because Sinners I didn't even know existed until it came out, so that was like a pleasant surprise. But this is the one I've been so hyped for, and the trailers, the first 2 especially. I had a little bit of worry with the third trailer, but the first 2 trailers especially, they got me in the fucking mood. And I'm not even the biggest DC/Superman guy, but
well, that's what I wanted to get into. I wanted to
oh boy.
get all of our sort of like our thoughts going into the film, in the sense of like what's our take on DC, Superman, just in general, and then get into the actual nitty-gritty. Because I know Robert is a bigger DC fan than we are on paper when it comes to like, comics and stuff, right?
Yes, probably,
Mr. Robert. So like, what was your sort of like?
Although it wouldn't take much to be more of a DC Comics fan than I, because I don't think I've ever read it, honestly.
Well, so as I've spoken before, DC has been my that's what I grew up with. That's the all my favorite superheroes are the DC superheroes for the most part, other than Spider-Man, but that's just because he's the best.
And you may remember from the Flash episode.
Yes, which I just shat on Flash because he's my favorite. He's my favorite. Anyway, I have not enjoyed any DC film other than Man of Steel and Suicide Squad 2. And I didn't mind.
He's
I
not
liked
the only one.
And I didn't mind the Shazam ones, to be fair. I thought the Shazam films were fun.
I think everyone. We went seeing Shazam 2 as well, like as a group. I think most people enjoyed Shazam 2
we like that way more than the public did.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a freaking ball with that film.
Yeah. I wouldn't say they're like incredible films, but they're just really fun. And I really appreciated that. And I thought they were like very true to their characters. I didn't mind Blue Beetle. I thought Blue Beetle was quite fun as well. I know that wasn't received. A lot of people didn't like it as much as I did, but I, as a kid, I loved Superman, and then because I grew up with the Brandon Routh,
like Superman Returns.
Yeah. So I grew up with him. He was my first Superman.
That was the same. I would have been the same for all of us, really. I assume. But obviously, around that time, you've got other things like Batman Begins coming out as well. So I was probably more into. I don't know. I think when I was younger, I was probably more into Superman because Superman Returns was really big for me. But that's like my only big like Superman thing ever, really.
Right.
It was a rough sort of place to be in, though, because again, like you said, at that time, Batman Begins, Iron Man's coming out soon. You know, the Raimi films just finished with Spider-Man. You know, so it's like that was a
They were still
really
going.
awkward time for a Superman film. You know, and then
So-
in hindsight, that's definitely the least popular of all those sort of films. You know, so it's like nobody
is
talks
really
about the freaking Brandon Routh Superman film. You know,
which is really funny. But for me, I didn't watch the Spider-Man films till later. I didn't watch the Batman Begins film till the Batman trilogy had finished. I didn't. I think it was only the Superman film I had seen, so I was like really in love with Superman, and like obviously,
as a 6-year-old, that film's obviously, I don't think it's aged terribly well. Like Superman Returns, it's all right, I think, but it's not amazing. It's pretty, it's a basic bitch. It's like if it was ice cream, it wouldn't even be vanilla flavored. It would be like milk flavored. But but as a 6-year-old, when that was coming out, the fucking trailers for that film were so hype, and like some of the bits I don't remember Kevin Spacey like sleeping with old women and like the giant continent not really making sense. I just remember fucking Superman taking bullets to the eyes, and I was like, that shit is fucking fire. That does it for me. I remember watching like the opening scene a lot for like the airplane crash on the baseball field.
Yeah.
Like that shit, that's immaculate. But the rest of the film's not great. But I would say that and Smallville are probably the only two things that I ever like really.
Yes, I love Smallville. I
guess I always liked Man of Steel, but I was never like huge fan. I guess that will lead Brandon on a bit better. But
I think Brandon's definitely the biggest.
I was like an armchair Smallville watcher as well, so I had like a little bit of that.
I've got a weird relationship with DC in that because, like, growing up, it was only Batman and Spider-Man. It's the only two I cared about, really. You know, I didn't and Fantastic Four to a certain extent as well, just because that was like popular when we were growing up. The Jessica Alba films. But it was mainly like the Tobey Spider-Man and the freaking Michael Keaton Batman, as well as like the freaking George Clooney Batman. But as a kid, I was eating that up, you know. So they were that was my crap growing up. And obviously now, Dark Knight's like my favorite film ever. So if I don't even consider that like a freaking DC film or like a superhero film, it's just like its own thing. But it technically does.
It's in the Nolan canon rather than the DC canon.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't like treat itself like that.
Do you know? Do you know? Wait, actually, finish your point, and then I'll say it later.
So it's like, but Superman was never my guy. Like it was just like, I watched the film Returns, but I've maybe only seen that once in cinema. Probably not seen it since. So he was never my guy. So, and even when Man of Steel came out, which I'm sure we're gonna have a little bit of a conversation about, I'd even loved that at first when it first came out, because like again, I just didn't, Superman was just never my guy. And I never liked the idea of like this like ultra OP character that was only had like the one weakness. It was like the rarest mineral on Earth, and then they always had to like find some stupid way to have that mineral be in the film. You know, it's like, oh, why does freaking Lex Luthor just have kryptonite? You know, I'd never liked the idea of it, right? Versus like Batman's character who makes like sense in a grim deeds world, same with like Spider-Man, where it's like, you know what I mean? It's not like Spider-Man's just got this one weakness or whatever. Like he can be killed, he can be hurt, sort of stuff, as we see that in the films, in the Raimi films as well. It wasn't really till
most of those films are just really crying and beat the shit out of. So yeah,
but I started to really appreciate Henry Cavill much later on. Maybe probably during the sort of Batman and Superman era, even though I don't like those films either.
Yeah.
I started to really appreciate him. Like when I look at him, I'm like, bro, that's Superman. Well, if you're gonna have like a human being that looks like that,
I think in general, Superman's always been let down on the writing side and like the actual delivery rather than the casting. I think overall, Superman tends to get cast really well, and there tends to be not really a problem with Clark/Superman himself, like you say, like Henry Cavill. Like in a different world, if he had a more like this approach of say this film, like the new Superman, if Henry Cavill had that opportunity, he would be like the quintessential as well. You know what I mean? Like he could have pulled that off.
It's a shame
as well.
because obviously, like we've got friends that, or friends specifically, that's like super hardcore hates Man of Steel because it just doesn't like it doesn't reflect what Superman should be. And I totally get it, but at the same time, from someone who doesn't come from comics and that, I honestly couldn't give a rat's ass like if Kent is supposed to be a certain way or whatever. Right? I'm just like viewing it as its own film. and I think the way they handle stuff in the film is actually really good. However, my opinion's changed after seeing this film, but we'll get into that. To hint at it, I understand if this new Superman is what like
represents
the fans were wanting.
Yeah,
I can understand why they were pissed off at why
well,
Henry Cavill Superman did certain stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it's a different film. You know, you had Christopher Reeve growing up, you had the Brandon Routh film, so it's like I understand why they want to do something different with the Man of Steel, especially because Dark Knight did so well. They want to go a darker route. Marvel's doing really well.
That's what I was going to bring up.
They don't want to like compare it to Marvel, so it's like right, we've got our own unique sort of vibe going on, our darker route. However, box office wise, kids aren't coming to see these films because it's not really like, happy films. You know, they're freaking quite depressing actually. You know, the Dark Knight and not Dark Knight, the Man of Steel and Batman and Superman sort of thing. Whereas the Marvel films are more fun and like everyone's lined up to see them and stuff like that. Even though I would even say still during the peak of like Marvel during like Civil War and stuff, people would still consider like the most famous heroes ever to be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and they still didn't like outsell Marvel. You know, so it screams that the films just weren't as good.
It's especially weird as well when you have things like Deadpool come along that are R-rated, but not obviously like dark in tone. Like it's definitely a different tone than say Superman, like Man of Steel and stuff in the Snyderverse. But it's R-rated, and yet a lot of the moody Snyder films are like PG-13 in America, so they're still open to that audience. They just didn't turn up for it. Whereas Deadpool obviously tapped into a different market that was R-rated, and even outsold those films. I think, right?
Yeah,
which is like wild as well. So it's like they were totally hitting on like all cylinders, the Marvel stuff, even like the non-MCU stuff that just wasn't getting taken advantage by DC at the time. But
so it was a tough situation because like I do like parts of stuff. Like I do like parts of Batman versus Superman. I do like parts of Justice League, especially the whatever cut,
the Snyder cut.
Even though like
the
Snyder cut. I like parts of Aquaman. I like actually quite like Wonder Woman. You know, so it's like they have their highlights, but just like they just never. It never felt like
it wasn't enough, and also
it never felt enough.
I don't think obviously this is like becoming just problems with the Snyderverse, but that's fine because we're getting our background. But like things like the MCU build it up, and because obviously they were playing catch up in the MCU. Because they'd like restarted. 100%. They were kind of like
they did their Civil War in movie 2.
So, and also it came out at the exact same time as Civil War as well, pretty much. It was to go up against it, and it's like one, why the fuck would you do that? Because you're not going to win, and two, like Batman's still to this day, it's over. The Snyderverse is over, and Batman still never got his own fucking film, and he's a main character in that series. It's like. Never mind like Cyborg or the Flash got his at the end, and it's like, my god.
Too late, man.
But
too late.
Yeah, but there's weird things like Aquaman's like the third highest grossing film for Warner Brothers ever, or some crazy shit like that, and it's like,
mad.
Why did everyone turn up for Aquaman? It's like fair enough, but like,
it is a weird one. I don't even still understand that. Like, surely Jason Momoa doesn't hold that like draw by himself. I just can't buy that. Because he's been in other films that don't do that well, so it's like I don't get it.
Not Minecraft though.
Obviously, we've had the Robert Pattinson film and Joker, which are like separate from everything else, which I think we all
stays that way.
Like. But because of those films, I started to buy into the idea of DC should just be sort of like they shouldn't do the MCU type of deal. They should just do their own little trilogies or spin-offs type of thing. But.
Especially when it's the only thing working.
Well,
and that's the thing. Is I guess maybe you just need some like fresh blood or old blood from the MCU. But does that take us up to? Well, do you want to talk about like the hype up to like Superman then, as well?
Sure. I'm going to go into like the details as well, in the sense of. Oh, sorry, go on, Robert.
No, sorry. I was just asking like what the three of our opinions on like the hype towards Superman.
Essentially, yeah, because
right, okay, got you.
Like given that background of like, I like Man of Steel. I understand like the backlash, but I don't particularly care.
Yeah.
That was obviously its own thing. I think it's a shame that the fans didn't really get this kind of Superman film first, and then also get a Man of Steel film. That it was only Man of Steel. So I guess there was a lot of people hungry for like this Superman that we're getting in 2025.
Yeah.
It's a shame you couldn't have both, best of both, I guess, but that's what we got. So, given all that, I was very hyped for, especially like Marvel films are kind of losing their way a bit now, and superhero films seems like kind of weird. They got really inconsistent, and also the tone's different, and it tends to be a bit darker. Like Thunderbolts is quite drab; it's not particularly colorful, and like Guardians of the Galaxy still obviously has its kind of flair. And things like the Suicide Squad that obviously James Gunn before as well, and well, both Suicide Squad films really. But
I think we were just craving something different from
something classic is what I was.
Yeah.
I was really craving.
Do you know what I think? I think a lot of us were also craving as well. Like not to get political or stuff, but I think at the moment the world is quite dark and gloomy, and I think especially in films, right, it's very dark and gloomy, and so I think there's a lot of media at the moment where I think a lot of people are consuming it, and we're quite stressed out with what we're seeing. And I think what was really good about this film, and I think this is the first film I would argue in like superhero films in the longest time, this is the first film where it's like it gives you hope. And that's Superman's whole thing, right? Is like to have hope. But it also so it gives you that, so it gives you a really good clear message, and it's just it's just a good guy who's or an alien who's like just trying to be a good person, and he's just trying to like. And I think that's the good thing about Superman, or the great thing about Superman, that they did so good in this film, and they were able to give us that I think a lot of superhero films haven't given us ever. And I think it's so fresh and it's so new, and I think that's like my biggest big positive from it.
Sticking with the hype before we see the film.
Yeah.
Like the first two trailers, especially, like I was saying in the intro, first two trailers, like that was like I was looking. The only thing I wanted from this film was like the beacon of hope.
Yeah.
Superman. I didn't care what else was in the film really, but as long as there was a shot of like, essentially that shot kind of from the Snyderverse with people on the roof and Superman kind of just floating in the air, and then it's like, oh, he's there, like that's him, and he's just like a god, the savior. That's all I wanted, and the trailers were giving me that, like front and center.
Yeah.
So I was mega hyped, and then the third trailer came out, and the third trailer came out like at least. I saw it like about a week before the film came out. So up until a week out from the film, I was insanely hyped for Superman.
Right.
And then that third trailer came out, and I got really worried because it looked very James Gunn. And I'm happy that James Gunn's running the DCU because I feel like he's probably a good pick for that. But I didn't want this film to feel too much like James Gunn. I did want kind of a classic Superman. Just like, not too vanilla where it's just boring. Because obviously you can go too far. But that third trailer did worry me because it gave me like the Suicide Squad vibes, which is fine for the Suicide Squad or the Guardians of the Galaxy. But for Superman, I wanted something a bit more focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of what worried me going into the film.
And like speaking about the game James Gunn as well, like to me, he's never missed in the sense of superhero films. He banged out all 3 Guardians films. I love all of them. To various degrees.
Despite Disney's best efforts to stop him.
Yeah, it's maybe their best trilogy in Marvel. You know, and they're completely.
I even think it's maybe. I think it just is.
It is.
I would argue. I'd argue Cap, but I know.
Yeah, you're wrong about that.
Winter Soldier and no, like,
no, I'm joking.
I feel like they're because a lot of people
joking.
dislike Guardians too. You know, so it's like that's like a big divide for some people as well. But he's never missed. So like with Suicide Squad, he totally like revived that freaking franchise because the original one absolutely sucked. This Peacemaker show is supposed to be really good. I've never seen it, but people only say good things about it. But and keep in mind, like a little behind the scenes stuff. He was freaking fired from Marvel during Guardians 3, and that's when he went to DC to make Suicide Squad. Therefore, which birthed this sort of him being the leader now. So if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be in this position to then make this film and the rest of the DC Universe films. So it's kind of mad how the butterfly effect sort of worked there if it wasn't for that. You know, and
But-
luckily, obviously, that fixed itself. But
Okay, so was it worth it?
Oh, sorry. Can I say my thing going into the
Oh
film?
yeah.
So, I had no interest whatsoever. As a DC fan, I felt so defeated, and I was just like, I couldn't care less. And so I didn't watch any of the trailers until F1, when I went to see F1. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, that actually looks good. And then that's when I was excited. It was probably about a week before I saw it.
Okay, so
that
so,
was
like,
I'll start.
yeah, okay,
Was
yeah,
it
go
worth
for it. Say that again, sorry.
Oh, I said false start because I said it before. But was it worth it? But was it worth it?
Yes.
The hype. Was it worth the hype?
Yes, it was worth it.
yes.
Okay, right. Episode done.
Okay,
Call it
sounds
a
good.
night.
We'll call it there.
Perfect.
It is. No, I think it banged. I think it slapped. I watched it twice. Not even 24 hours later, I saw it a second time.
That's
I was
wild.
in the
I'm
cinema.
jealous.
I
I'm
was in the
jealous.
cinema again. IMAX.
Crazy.
But I don't even know where to start, man. I think I don't know. I don't want to like jump straight into negatives, but so I'm not because I want to like stay
I
on the
think we
positive
should.
side.
Yeah, I think we should stay positive first because I definitely have quite a
Yeah.
bit to say about both, honestly. But I don't want to just rag on it straight away, given that I actually do quite like
No,
the
for
film.
sure. For sure. But just like the vibe straight away, sort of like set up like, okay, I get it. Like this is what we're going with. You know, the
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
because it is very comic booky, but I'm totally fine with it. Like it works in the sense of like how it's written sometimes and how some lines, like some of the lines are objectively bad, but because it's like such a comic book film, it's like they totally get away with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard that complaint. I wouldn't call it a complaint. I just think it's like just part of the
Charm.
the world they've built. Yeah, it's part of the
Like the
genre.
prequels or Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. It's just like
Honestly, yeah. The Sam Raimi film is probably the best example because you could argue a lot of those lines in those films as cheesy, but it's like so freaking they bang though. They're so iconic.
Yeah.
And I kind of miss that style of comic book film as well. Like I love, obviously, like I said, Dark Knight's my favorite film. I love Dark Knight. I don't want every film to be Dark Knight. You know, I want some.
DC wants every film to be Dark Knight.
Films as well. You know, it's like right away. It's like. Yeah, right away it's like it just sets up the tone for the rest of the film. You know, he gets his ass beat.
Yeah. Well, and that's honestly that was I because like you say, I was all kind of like nervously, like anxiously hyped for the film, and the title crawl kind of threw me for a little bit, and then I was like, you know what, I kind of like this, and then it finishes with like the words. 3 minutes ago, Superman just lost his first fight, and I was like, what a fucking great opening line for a film as well. That just straight away I was like, fuck.
Also, I assume we're just going to talk spoilers, aren't we?
100%. Yeah.
Be clear, yeah. Sweet. Yeah, no, I like that as well. And I like the idea that they just set up the world as well. Like, okay, metahumans came into the world 300 years ago or whatever it was, and now so it's like, okay, we get it. All these superheroes have existed. They're around. This is part of the landscape at this point. It's not like Superman's the first, you know, like Man of Steel was.
Yeah.
So it's like it's setting up this like world, which I quite liked. They're not like taking time out of the movie to explain all this crap. It's just like, okay, we've got a title crawl, boom, world set up. Sorry, like don't even like question it going forward. You know. So when you do see people like Green Lanterns and freaking Hawk Girls and stuff, it's like, okay, that's fine. Like we don't need to explain it. They're just here.
Seen this before.
You know, just
much worse versions of it.
We're in. Yeah, exactly. God, I don't even know where to start, man. I guess just like I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I will probably start with a few things that I think are kind of perfectly done in the film. That because I have some things that I'm like, I really like this, and I have some things that I'm like, I just don't like this. And there's sections of this film that I don't really like, but there's a few things where I'm like, they fucking nailed it, and I have no notes. For me, that's David Cornsweet.
He's really good.
He's pretty fucking perfect. Like,
like.
In fact, to be honest, everyone kind of like Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane.
Bro, stand out.
They're all pretty perfect. They're all pretty fucking perfect, honestly.
Can I be honest? this is what his only one Superman film, and I already would say that I think he's the best Superman we've had live action. I put like I know a lot of people would be like, what about Christopher Reeves? And if you prefer that Superman, that's fair.
I think people need to
it is.
understand as well.
They're very
Like, he was
different
way
Superman.
before our time as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And
to us, like Christopher Reeve is old. That's like an old film.
And 100%. And like there's so much fun when you watch his first and second one. If you like the third and fourth, hot take, but fair enough, man. I'm not going to judge. But like with this guy, for me, the second he was on the screen to like the second it finished, I was just like, yeah, this is my Superman. Like instantly, I just was like, they've done it. Like they've and I'm with Brandon. Like I really love Henry Cavill as Superman, and he just looks the part. But he just like I'd rewatched Man of Steel before this one, and I don't like Zack Snyder, and I actually disliked Man of Steel more watching it the second time. But I love Henry Cavill. But coming in and watching this, I was like, I'm sorry, Henry, you're not Superman.
It's just because the guy's instantly likable and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like he's like cracking jokes with freaking Crypto the dog, which again was a freaking banging addition to the film as well.
Can I just say that was my favorite part of the film? Like just little side stuff is the Crypto and him. I really loved that because I've always loved Crypto, and that was so fun to see. And it's
and do you think? No, it's fine. But it's like I think this is the first Superman I've ever felt any sort of like unique personality from.
Yeah.
That isn't just gravitas, because obviously Christopher Reeve brings the kind of like the oomph of Superman, like the feeling of Superman. But he's not like he's kind of quirky as Clark Kent, but he doesn't really have too much going on as Superman. He's just like the icon, and that's all he is, which is fine. This one is very much like Superman has a personality, and it's a bit quirkier than like I think would be used to as like film fans. Because even like Brandon Routh and Smallville and all that, a lot of them are straight and narrow. Maybe not Smallville, but like Brandon Routh's pretty like straight and narrow. You know what I mean? But this one's like, he's like, yo, what the heck, dude? What the hey, dude? Like little
what the hey, dude?
Quirks and stuff, and like getting annoyed at the dog, and he shouts at Lois. But like, you get why in the people get mad at that, but it's like, bro, watch the fucking film. Like, it makes sense.
I need to shout that. I need to shout that scene because I think that one scene with them two in the apartment is one of the best. Like, you know how we've talked about what was it called, Speak No Evil, and how that first scene sort of like set up the characters perfectly going forward.
Yeah.
That scene was that for me, was them two in the apartment. I was like, okay, I totally understand both of these guys' points of views. I totally understand like their personalities and stuff going forward. I understand the relationship, and it's like happy days. I like you've done it in 10 minutes, you know. Bro, the freaking chemistry as well, man. Jesus Christ. I'm like, holy, I'm getting hot. Like, Jesus. Calm down. It's not so good. It's so good. You know, how Clark Superman is like he's clear, he just wants to do good. He's not really thinking about the consequences of his actions, right? Which is what she's sort of focusing on. Where it's like, yeah, you need to understand that the world views you differently. You know, you can't just go out and do this stuff without like thinking about the consequences. You know, because she makes the like he's saying, yeah, I'm saving people. She's saying, yeah, but the world views you as a U.S. representative in a way. So when you're making decisions, people are viewing that as a United States decision. I think, which can, you know, foil things in the war and stuff like that. So it's like it really grounded in a way that didn't feel too like dark or moody. It's like it's still it's like based in the real world a little bit, but not going like too far with it. So it's just slightly like, understanding, given the stakes as well. A lot of the stuff. But they add like nice little humor into it as well. You know, it's not just like straight. It's not just 10 minutes of like gloom. Oh, let's talk about war and freaking child soldiers or whatever, freaking whatever. You know, it's like it's like no, we're gonna add like little bits of humor and stuff as well. Which again, for the whole film, I think they do really well in the sense of unlike a Star Wars that they've been doing recently, where they add humor and it ruins like an impactful scene. I didn't think that at all during this entire film. I didn't feel that at all.
You didn't? No, you didn't at all.
The humor is used pretty well.
I think there's quite a few scenes in this film where the emotional weight is taken off by humor, but we can get into that later on.
Okay.
But my other perfect things. So one of them was Lois Lane. I think in general, like obviously the actress, she's fucking great in this. But also like just finally Lois is like, or at least like that character, like your MJ, whatever. They're actually doing something, and it's like vital to the plot, but it's not shoehorned and it's not ham-fisted. It's just she's got her own thing going on, and it's quite entertaining as well.
And it's not like she's beating up people. It's like she's a journalist. She's not that character. You know what I mean? She's gonna like.
She's not going to
outsmart
Paltrow.
people
She's
or
not got
whatever.
the Mandarin formula. Like,
yeah. You know, like save that for like characters that should be able to do that sort of stuff. You know, which we see with like Mr. Terrific and stuff like that down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was worried about that because like for example, like in the Spider-Man games with like MJ and stuff, it's like, bro, you're freaking Mary Jane. Like, how are you taking these army men? You know, it's like you're literally a journalist. You know, it's like it doesn't make sense. Whereas in this film, they don't even attempt that. You know, because like if you do that, then it kind of just nulls all the villains. Where it's like, well, I don't believe these guys as believable bad guys. Then, you know, if they're just freaking getting beat up by freaking Lois Lane.
And I think
um.
Just to touch on Corn Sweat again quickly, I meant to say this before, but I think in the same way that people didn't like Henry Cavill and Man of Steel because it was a different, it's kind of, that was a weird one because it's kind of, he feels like an older Superman, but he's supposed to be a really young Superman. I don't know if that's just Cavill. Cavill has a kind of like older vibe about him than Corn Sweat's Superman because obviously he's not as kind of like cheeky or.
He's just like masculine, right? He's got like the freaking jawline and the
Yeah.
freaking muscles. You know, it's just like he just looks terrifying. You know, so.
But in the same way that a lot of people.
On, you know, so.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Like the trunks. Like I'm totally on board with stuff like the whole vibe of this one. But there's definitely also people I think who will not like this Superman because he's also quite depowered, I think, compared to like a Cavill Superman. And he can get beat, and he spends most of the film getting beat as Superman, really. But and that obviously comes with its own issues that I'll probably get into later. But I think some people will.
I feel like it's a lose-lose.
Well, it's hard because this is the thing: is everyone wants Superman to be different things as well, and people are quite, especially Snyder people. I've heard. Well, I don't really hear it, but like people say the Snyder people are very loud. But you know what I mean? Some people want Superman to be an untouchable god, but how do you make that a challenge? Like, how do you give him a challenge? Yeah. Apart from like, say,
I think with that kind of stuff, like with Superman, the whole untouchable stuff, like I personally feel the whole like, oh, the only way to defeat him is like, you know, beating him up and all that kind of stuff, or he's just too unstoppable. But I think his whole thing is, you know, about helping others. So it's like he doesn't lose fights normally, you know, in the comics and whatnot. But it's like he's losing people he loves, right? And I think that's like supposed to be his whole thing of like he fails saving people, and he's like he's trying to do that. Where I feel like people who are too on thingy of like, oh, his only weakness is kryptonite. I just don't really care for that excuse because I'm like, but his whole thing is about. Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't know. That's what you're
saying. But like for me, and I think this film did really good, and you know, especially in the scene where he's like talking about how like he loves people and he cares, and his whole thing is to like help, and that he gets scared and he gets sad, you know, but just because he's this unstoppable force, like you can show defeat in so many other ways other than just losing a fight or like bruised and injured, which they do in this show and, you know, this film, sorry, and I think that will make a lot of people happy. But I think as well, like, Superman loses by losing his friends, by losing his loved ones, by losing, you know, like he's already lost his planet, he's lost his family. You know, he doesn't have any guidance on what to be or who he is, and he's in this planet by himself, and he's been brought up by these farmers, and so like he's already got it pretty tough. So I personally I don't get the whole like kryptonite argument or like he's invincible. I'm just like,
but when you think of like Silver Age comics, though, like you know what I mean, he's like the icon of America. It's propaganda, like it's like a fairy tale. It's like stories. So it is just kryptonite. He's just the man of steel with one weakness. So there is definitely like a history of that, or at least there has been.
But no, I definitely 100%. But I think now where we are with Superman, the argument doesn't stand. I would say
compared to other superheroes, I think it's still. I wouldn't say, because I honestly don't know about Superman, but at least as like a casual Superman fan, that tends to be I think why people aren't too interested in him. Is because things like Batman or Spider-Man, they're just fucking put through the ringer constantly. I don't think people at least see that in Superman or haven't. In the same way. But
yeah, that's fair. I think there is that stereotype where people don't give Superman the chance because they're like, oh, well, why would I read it? Because he's just this invincible
it's
guy.
Always been a tricky. It's always been a tricky thing, though, right? Because you're saying like, well, you can lose in other ways in the sense of like, oh, people die or whatever. But the issue with Man of Steel Superman that people had is that he didn't save anyone. People kept dying. It's like, well, if you don't let people die, how can you show stakes when you can't kill them? So it's like.
I thought it was.
Where's your good medium?
I thought it was more because of the destruction, and there wasn't the evacuation scene. Because Superman saves people.
He's breaking the city without like saving anyone in that entire film. Whereas in this film, he's actively going out his way, not even to let buildings break. You know what I mean? Which I really loved, and I absolutely guarantee that was a callback to the Snyder film as well, because that was a massive complaint.
Especially the kaiju scene.
The kaiju scene.
That's such a good scene.
Well, I almost think that's put in there as like an overcorrection or like a statement to the fans to be like, this is not the Zack Snyder Superman. This is a similar situation where he could kill it.
Saving dogs and squirrels in the street. You know what I
mean?
He's going out of his way to save people, which then I'm okay with, right? If you're saving people, get beat up in the process, then because then it's like at least there's some stake. Because if he is just saving everything as well as just taking every hit, where's the interest in villain story of
kind of the wider point. And kind of the wider point I was getting at as well is that there's going to be I think there's maybe not an equal amount, but there's a good healthy amount of stuff that you can complain about if this is not the type of Superman you wanted as well. In the same way that people don't like Man of Steel, obviously that goes against a lot of things, like Superman doesn't kill really, or Superman doesn't save people, like you say. People didn't want that, or a lot of people didn't like that, because they had a certain vision of Superman, and Man of Steel was different. That was like a Zack Snyder vision of Superman. In the same way, this is not the Superman of the comics, I don't think. This is still something a little bit new as well, where it's like it's taken a lot of inspiration from certain comic runs and things like that. There's certain beats that are hit and certain things that are taken from other things like Smallville and stuff. But he is depowered more than some of the other Supermen that people are familiar with. So that is going to put some people off. But I think it's just but the point I'm getting at is more like I'm fine with different visions of Superman or different visions of like Batman and stuff like that, like Pattinson. They're all different. I'm quite fine with like a broad stroke of different takes on the character, because obviously like in the comics,
the best example is like the Spider-Man, right? Like there's 3 Spider-Men, 4 if you include Miles, and we love all of them for different reasons, so it's like,
well, I think
but there's different reasons to like them all.
I think this is I think this is the great thing about superheroes, is whether it's films or comic books or games or whatnot, right? Like you have the same character, just different variants of the character, and like Superman or Batman, you have different versions, but at the core, it's still it's kind of the same origin story. It's kind of the same start to end. It's the same people. They just kind of they'll look different in some than others, right? But it's like they're still their character, and I think one of the main things that me and Brandon talk about quite often is our Batmans is like I really don't like Batman when it's just like broody action, and I really don't like Ben Affleck's one. But like Patterson for me is the Batman I've always wanted and always loved, the detective kind of
Arguably the
Batman.
most broody one.
But he's the nicest one. He's the nicest one, and it's all the detective stuff, and it's just so much.
Nice. He's got a credit card.
I would actually say Val Kilmer's the nicest one, but Patterson's like really nice. But he's broody, so he still has the Batman thing about him. But he's really smart and he's fresh in the field, and it's the same with this Superman, where it's like he's fresh in the field. You know, it's been 3 years. This is his first fight that he's lost. Like, I think it's quite fun that we're seeing his first fight. He's brand new. He's a different version of what we've ever gotten, but he's probably the closest to, I think, what most people think of Superman.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like the essence of Superman distilled into a simple film, really.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not an exact replica of any other Superman, I don't think.
No, but it's the closest we've ever gotten, and I think it's.
And I'm happy about that.
100%. I couldn't pat James back on.
I think that's why people are responding well to the film.
Yeah.
But also, if it's putting people off as well, in the same way that Zack Snyder did, and it's like that, I kind of have sympathy because obviously people had an appetite for this Superman.
Yeah.
But I think if you get out your own way and you just realize, because there was a point in the film where I'm like, okay, he is not as strong as I would like as a Superman, but he's also young. So like during the film, I'm getting
like build up to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and exactly, and that's the thing. But I don't think everyone does that. I think some people do come out of the film and they're like annoyed at he's not as strong as he maybe could be, and he is a bit naive. But that's somewhere to move. There's somewhere to go with that, and I think because he's so young, and like you say, we haven't really seen a young Superman on screen before. But in the same way that you can kind of make a little bubble for Henry Cavill, people are upset at that. But I think once you realize what Zack Snyder's doing in the first 15 minutes of that film, it's like, well, this isn't your regular Superman. So just pretend it's not. In a way, it's like you can get annoyed at the things, but if you're going to enjoy this film, get out your own way and just be like, okay, what's he going for? And I kind of had that in the film as well, where I was like, I was expecting a bit more of not an older Superman, but maybe a bit more presence, and like iconography with it. But he doesn't have that yet. I'm obviously, I get that, but I was like more on board once I got out of my own way to be like, oh, you know what? He's young, he's a bit quirky, whatever. I'm fine with it. You know?
Yeah. No, for sure.
No, I totally.
That's an issue with comic book fans in general, is that they are just going to go in with like, no, I want my version of Superman or Batman or whatever. It's like, no, just freaking let them cook. Let them cook up a character. You know? To
like, as a comic book fan, like we all do it. Like that's one of my biggest issues with Civil War. You know, is like in my head, I'm like, this just isn't Civil War. And I know that's a me thing, you know, and like rewatching the films, I've tried to, step back and be like, okay, this isn't what I like, but this is what I've been given. So like, is it still a good film? X, Y, and Z. But like, I went into this film really excited about Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor is like my favorite Superman film, and then
he's never been done well, in my opinion, to be honest.
Yeah, he's all right. Like, he's never. But in the animated shows, he's so flipping good. Like, he's so good, and so in my head, I was like, oh, I had this vision of Lex Luthor, right? And then like I saw him, and I was like, what the flip is this? And I was not happy with Lex Luthor for like the first couple of scenes, even though the first scene is really flipping clever and it's really good and it's showing how powerful Lex is. I just couldn't get my head around Lex. And then by the end of the movie, I was kind of torn, because I was like, I felt a bit disappointed by him, and it's not the Lex that I wanted, but also I'm like, I do get why he was a good Lex Luthor, but it wasn't like the guy I was visioning. And I did say that to Ryan as well. Yeah. But like, I've been thinking on it as well more, and I'm like, he's not, like, he's definitely the best Lex we've had live action. He's not the Lex I wanted in any way, but like I totally see James's vision there, and like I totally support it, and I'm totally fine with it. But like your point that you were saying, you know, we do go into these films going having that kind of expectation.
There is some things.
It's not like Star Wars where it's like you've got the one Luke Skywalker, right? If you make a drastic change, it does affect what's come before it, right? Whereas like Batman, we've got freaking 18 different Batman, so it's like judge them individually rather than oh yeah, but this other Batman isn't like that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Just treat them like as their own, and that's why I went into this film. I went into it just completely like void. I was like, you know what, whatever you're gonna give me, I'll eat up. I'll judge it just based on what you're giving me, because I don't care about freaking Crypto the dog or freaking the robots.
Oh, bro, he's the best, man. Crypto the dog.
I mean, going in, going in, I don't care about all this stuff. But then, like, they set it up, I'm like, all right, I'm in. I bought in. Like Sluther, again, I don't care about the character much, really, at all. It's like, okay, if you're giving me this, he's this freaking, like, ultra smart dude. He's, like, built his own Superman to, like, fight the Superman. And he's got, like, these freaking gaming PC that's freaking got all the combinations and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I can see this being, like, a modern guy, you know? And the whole I don't know if this is like a Luthor thing in general in the comics, but like he's making the argument that brain can defeat strength, essentially. You know, intelligence can defeat strength, which he does prove throughout the film until the end. But yeah, anyway, you should probably move on because we've spent like so much on freaking.
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of Lex, I think the only thing I would say is I liked where they were going with him, and then he peaked. And anyone who's seen the film will know what I'm going to bring up. The scene in the prison.
Yes.
With the revolver and the roulette. That is the best scene he has in the film. And then he has a bunch of other scenes that are nowhere near as good.
I would agree with that.
Which kind of, because it was building up, and I was like, fuck. I wasn't loving him to begin with, but then, like, you know what? He is what he is. I wasn't happy with some of the tech he had and stuff like that. I'll get into that in a sec, I guess. But that roulette scene, I was like, fuck, all right. He's wanting to get his hands dirty. Let's fucking go. And then he doesn't get his hands dirty anymore. And he doesn't really take advantage of the same situation that he put that character in anymore. He says, like, oh, I'm going to go get Clark Kent. And that's never, like, chased up. And he doesn't find anyone else to put in that situation or whatever.
Right,
and then he kind of just becomes a bratty little shit and then gets his ass kicked by Crypto. And I'm like, is this good? I don't know. I wasn't too happy with how they kind of filled him out. But again, I guess there's also room to go for him because, again, if you make him shit hot at everything, where's he going to go? So if you make him a bratty little shit now, maybe in the future films he's more put together.
Yeah, like again, like just treat him as Superman. It's like this is probably his first film of many, so he's probably going to grow. In the future ones, you know, he'll be like the Loki of this.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, I think he'll be the Loki.
So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, but I will say that scene was fucking great. With
that is a really good scene. You go.
No, I'll just time wise. I'm just going to quickly say that the only bad complaint I actually had about this film, and then I'll quickly glaze it, and then that'll be me. So I have one mediocre complaint, and why did Clark Kent not get changed in the phone booth? Rubbish. Not happy about that. And then the second one is I did not like the portal stuff. Like the end. I really did not like that.
We briefly touched on this before we recorded, and we're totally on the same page.
And I still don't like it. And I've tried to like thingy about it, but I still can't wrap my head around it, and I don't like the direction they took with that. But
what is the problem that you don't like about it?
So my thing is, you have such a great story about the two wars going, or the war that's going on in the background, right? Like Lex is giving them weapons, Lex is doing this, Lex is doing that, and then there's that whole like, oh, who's the bad side, and Clark's like, or Superman's like, well, it's these guys. And so you have this really interesting storyline about this war that's going on, and you know, like kids are like, you know, Superman's going to save us, And I understand that there had to be this like diversion, so you get the what was it, Justice Gang?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, the Justice Gang to like help Clark, and like him to rely on people, and there's going to be that split, and then Clark goes and deals with Lex and the other guys. So I understand that. I just thought the portal thing was very cheap, and I didn't like the destruction thing. And I understand that. I felt like, again, this was another kind of Snyder comment. There was that destruction thing, and there was that scene where it was like, everyone's getting evacuated, everyone's getting thingied, and Superman's catching the building just as the last person gets out of the city. And like, I liked all that stuff, but the portal ripping the city in half, I did not like. I just and Lex being so intelligent, so flippin' intelligent, and everyone's like, Lex, this is what's going to happen, and he's just so like childlike in this moment, and he's like, but and he does this.
I don't know. I actually totally disagree with this take. I can't lie. I think
no, that's totally fine, man.
Lex, I think with Lex, they've built up him to be this envious character. So when people,
100%.
like even says it his own team's like, no, Lex, shut it down. Everyone's gonna die. He's like, and he says, they chose him. Let them die. You know what I mean? He chose him. Sorry, they chose Superman to be their hero, not me. So he's a freaking arrogant. I was going to use a really bad word, but I'm not going to say that. He's a prick. He's an arrogant prick. So it's like, so he's got this ego, and it's like, well, when people aren't feeding him, he's like, well, F you then. And with the portal stuff, I don't mind it. Like, because at this point, it's been really comic-y anyway, with like,
it has
freaking Superman's base, how it freaking melts into the ground and stuff
I love
like that.
By the way, I love that.
We got freaking Godzilla running about. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we've got like a portal, that's like the least of my worries at this point.
It's not.
It's not funny that you see that. It's funny as you see that as it fits in well, because I see it as well, Lex can do anything, so there's no stakes to me. He can clone Superman. I don't know why he hasn't cloned multiple, to be honest. That's one of my things where I'm like, why didn't you just clone like 5 Supermen and just fucking wail on him? But
I guess because like they made the point that he could only gain 1 piece of hair. Like that's the only like thing he was able to get. So even the one he cloned wasn't even perfect. It's just like,
I guess.
He's
but
like an idiot that you call him. You can't.
He is, properly. But you could have a team of them, I suppose. But there's that. But also, I think there's like, it almost becomes that thing of like the comics where the comics go wrong as well, where the comics get too complex and they get too out there sometimes for me. I find it hard to read, like especially in like a big
I guess,
ensemble
like,
thing.
Going forward, you've introduced the fact that this is capable, so this should now be a reachable thing. Even though like everyone that's like Mr. Terrific and stuff, he's saying like, no, you shouldn't do this. This could like cause an absolute like, this could screw up everything. Like he says like if you screw up the tiniest little millimeter or something, you could cause like a freaking black hole or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like the stakes are there, and he's saying like, no one should actually do this.
I think totally contrary to the comment I was saying before about like accept it. This is what they're going for. This felt, and this is like the whole portal sequence. I wasn't honestly a big fan of the whole inside the pocket universe, and like things like if a pocket universe exists, why does Lex need to rule over the world if he just has like an infinite universe he can do stuff in? But things like that, where it's like this felt very quick to introduce, even though it's like you've set up the world. It feels like the tech is so like higgledy-piggledy. Like the world is definitely like retro future, and definitely has better tech than we do, but also has a different style. But also, just portals exist casually and like pocket universes. It felt very like out of left field for me, and I just didn't really ever gel with the idea. And then they spent a big chunk of time in there. And I'd have been fine if this was like, oh, this is just a prison and it's not very big, sort of thing, where it's like, it's not actually a pocket universe. It's just like, it's a little tear in the fabric of space. It's a very small area, so it's really constrained.
That's honestly kind of how I viewed it, to be honest. Like, it didn't feel like a livable world, like in that place. It felt like just a void. That's kind of how I looked at it. It's like really just had like a jail cell and like some science labs. Like that's all there really was,
Yeah.
Kept in there.
And the monkeys. Monkeys.
Monkeys.
I bet
I
they
love
that.
little hater monkeys.
Yeah.
He's got little
the
monkeys spreading hate comments.
Have you seen on social media anyone that goes, I hate this film, like Snyder's better? People are just like posting gifs of monkeys now. It's so good.
That was that's like a James Gunn kind of joke, but like things like the river and like the black hole at the end of the river and like stuff like that, I honestly switched my brain off for that scene because I was just like, I'm just not into this, frankly. And like, I will say that kind of falls into like my general complaints with the film is that I feel like the things that I really didn't like about this film all seem to come from like James Gunn isms, where and this is why I say I wanted more like a straight and narrow Superman film, is because there's a lot of focus on other shit, and given that we haven't really had a banging Superman film in a long time, we haven't had a standard classic with a twist Superman. There's a lot of time spent off of Superman in this film, and that's fine when it's Lois and stuff. And I liked Mr. Terrific, but like, and this is the thing, it's like in any other film, I would have been on board with this. Where it's like if this was in a Guardians of the Galaxy film, because it frankly could be, and that's kind of part of my issue as well. Is like a lot of these scenes could just be in any other superhero film. They're not specific to this one; they just happen to be in it. And sometimes the film feels a bit like, oh, this is just a superhero film that happens to have Superman as the focus sometimes. But it didn't feel like this is Superman's film to me all the time. And that Pocket Universe part was like, I know they were rescuing Superman, but the whole Mr. Terrific fight with like the bubble, like I enjoyed that. And had it been in like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or the Suicide Squad, I'd have been like, banging, I'm on board. But it just didn't feel like this belonged in a Superman film to me, especially like the outset one, the very first one.
See if we had, if that scene was given to Superman, like I know that scene wouldn't have worked, but there was a scene like that Superman had. Do you think your opinion would be like
yes, because that scene is quintessentially James Gunn.
Yeah.
And that has Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad identity like woven into the scene. That is what you expect from James Gunn. Same with the Justice Gang. That's like his comfort zone. Like these scenes are like James Gunn's comfort zone. That's what he goes back to a lot of the time in all these films. And that's fine if you have an appetite for that. And I usually do in an ensemble cast. But I think there's too much other shit going on. And I think that's kind of where the portals come in. As I don't so much have a problem with like the use of the portals, that's fine. I can get past that. It's a decent chunk of the film, but I can get past it. The point where it really threw me off, and I was really not a fan of it, was in the end. But for a slightly different reason, I guess, is that it comes into that throwing off Superman as like the main focus. Is yes, he gets to save the city, but the stakes almost get too big too quick for me. Where you're building up this conflict in like two nondescript Middle Eastern countries. We won't look into that anymore. But like two nondescript Middle Eastern countries are about to go to war. Superman stopped it. That's like the setup for this film. That's like the inciting incident that happens before the film. And I was really invested in that. And then they go, oh, and also the portals are ripping open the world. And I'm like, okay, fine. Superman's saving people, great. But I don't actually give a shit about Metropolis getting ripped in half. And I know there's a point as well, like the Justice Gang, it's about inspiring them to be better because they don't care about these countries like Kanandrapur or whatever it's called. They don't care. But by the end of the film, they've been inspired by Superman to care. And I get the message. And it's almost like, I like this, but it's also wrong to me. It doesn't feel right. Where I'm like, I had that thing in my, like the kids putting up the Superman flag. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm waiting for him to float down from the heavens and save these people again, once and for all sort of thing. And then Guy Gardner shows up, and it's funny. Admittedly, it's funny where he's like, oh, you got better, kid. You got us.
Great.
Yeah, and that's great. I love the dialogue and like the quip and stuff. Yeah. It's fine. But like, it just felt like the moment was wrong because it was like, but now I give more of a shit about the Justice Gang's resolution than I do about Superman's. Because I don't care about Metropolis getting ripped in half, because it seems like it's like a blue sky beam. It just feels like, I don't care about this. This is too big, and I've seen it before. It's not particularly interesting. And
yeah, I I'm with you. I really liked the inside stuff of the portal, and I would disagree with you on that stuff because I did really enjoy that stuff and the Mr. Terrific thing, but the metropolis being ripped to shreds while those two countries are fighting. That's when I'm like fully on board with you.
Again, I want to reiterate. I loved the Mr. Terrific scenes, and I liked him a lot as a character.
Yeah, he was really good.
And I went in not giving a rat's ass about him as well because I don't know. I don't know him. You know, so it's like, and he totally stole the show. 100%.
I liked him a lot, but there's a good chunk of the film's dedicated to him and Lois, and I do wish that had maybe been toned down, especially the James Gunnisms, where it's like a lot of my least favorite individual scenes in the film were like James Gunnisms, and even like the last scene where Superman gives that great speech of like, I'm fucking human, and well, he doesn't say fucking because he's Superman. He probably says like golly or something. I'm human, and that's what makes me strong, and that's my best quality, sort of thing. I was like, fuck yeah. And then like the dog just grabs him and like wails him about, and I'm like, this is funny, but why did you ruin that? Like, what's going on? Like, it felt like everything was going really well, and then it was like James Gunn stopped trusting himself to just deliver the moment. And then every like emotional moment was just then, not everyone, but like a lot of the emotional moments just felt like, oh, just add a little thing on the end there, just a little ditty, just to alleviate it a bit.
Do you know what I thought? I thought the best scene, like for me, the best scene was where it had so much James Gunn isms, but it was perfectly deep and there was still humor. Was when Lois and Superman are like in the living room and they're talking, and in the background, Justin's gang are fighting that like squid thing, and it's this really, really beautiful scene, and the like the art and the colors coming from the what was it? Was it squid or something?
It's like a giant squid or something.
Yeah. Like, and it's like, and I just thought like cinematography wise, I thought that was for me that was my favorite scene. It's just so beautiful, and then like the actual like writing I thought was brilliant, and then the acting, and then
there's some nice dialogue, like you say in there, like James Gunn dialogue in that scene as well. She's
like,
"You've got a dog," and he's like, "Yeah, I can have a dog. Like, it's my sister's, or my cousin's, but yeah."
And I just thought it was so good, and I like that for me. That was like the best blend of like this is really serious, but there's a little bit of humor in the background. But I do agree with you with the Crypto, because like for me, Crypto. I love Crypto, and like I went to go see that like superhero pets films with The Rock and Kevin Hart whenever that came out, because I love Crypto. Like I love him so much. So like I was buzzing to watch that, and so then watching this, finding out Crypto's in it, I was like hype, and then but I do agree that scene, the last scene, that was the only part for me with Crypto that I didn't like.
100% on the same page. I think that he delivered Crypto so well. I think Crypto was like so well utilized throughout the film until the like third act.
Yes.
And that was the only problem I had the only point I had a problem with.
See, is like. Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to quickly say, just make it clear, I do like the Mr. Terrific stuff. I just don't think he needs this much time in this much film. But the thing that really put me off that scene, just to quickly hound on it again. Essentially, to me, that is just Yon doing the arrow. It's the same. You know what I mean? It's very similar. Like the tone and the actual action, like in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when he's walking through the ship and and he's like killing all the guys and all that shit. It's very that, and that just took me out. That's why, mostly, because it's very James Gunny. But yeah. But having said that, I think what do you think about the end in general? Are you more on the positive side of the third act, Brandon? Then do you not mind like the portal stuff, like the ripping open of Metropolis and that?
Yeah, because like we said, like we said before, like it's hard to give Superman stakes because he's so OP. It's like you kind of do need to kind of do this crazy stuff to make him feel like challenged, to the point where he does need to rely on his friends and stuff to help him out because he can't be everywhere at once, type of deal. Because obviously the main conflict is between him, I guess Bizarro. He's not named Bizarro, but we're kind of calling him that because he is Ultraman. And Lex, right? That's like the main conflict. But then we've also, like you said, you got like the stuff in the other countries and stuff, which has been set up from the start. So it's like that has to be resolved at some point. So yeah, I don't mind it. The only thing I do agree on is probably the crypto stuff at the end, like the very end. But even then, I'm not even like that, like banging about it because like he's been set up to be this like rebellious dog. So it's like I buy it. I guess just the length of the attack was a bit like far. Like I
Yeah, no, I totally buy that
that
would be something that would happen. It's just it felt tonally off, given that this was like Superman's triumphant moment to like not only beat the villain but tell him why he beat him, and that his entire frame of reference is totally wrong, and that should be like the final blow to Lex, not like the dog fucking throwing him around the office.
If I had a choice, I wouldn't have done it and just left it on that like banger. I do want to mention it. The third act does have probably my favorite scene. Nah, I need to watch what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah?
It's probably got one of my favorite superhero scenes ever, and it's not even like a big scene.
You know what? Stop right there, Robert.
Yeah.
This has got to be the same scene you were talking about, right?
Probably.
I'm curious because this was the moment. Because like again, I'm not a Superman guy, but this was the moment I was like, "Fuck,
he's Superman."
That's Superman. It's when Robert kind of hinted at earlier. The building's fallen. He stops it from falling on the woman in the car. She drives out, and you just get a peel of her looking back, and you see this freaking dude.
Yeah, man.
Freaking coming out of the smoke. And I sat back.
It gives me.
I was like,
dude, I'm covered in goosebumps right now, man. I'm covered in goosebumps.
I am too. But it's the music. It's just the visual. Because you don't even see his face or anything. It's just the freaking outline of Superman. And you get this. It's for me, it's like the first time where it's like, from the civilian's point of view, you see a freaking god, and it's like, holy shit.
And you know what?
Like, to me, I was like, that shot needs to be on my wall. That's so, because I've talked about like my favorite shots in films before. That's up there for me. I was like, holy smokes! I get it.
I have that scene drawn.
Why people love this character.
I have that scene drawn in my little notebook right in front of me, for one. And two, honestly,
I'm so glad you guys agree, because like that was the only thing I was thinking about coming at the film. I was like,
yeah, 100%.
Because like
same.
Our friend Dignan, I was watching that with him the first time, and he was blown away by the whole film. And I was like into it. I was laughing and stuff. I was like tearing up at certain parts. It was that moment where I was like, nah, I get it, man. I get why people love this character so much. So yeah, I had to freaking bring it up.
I'll tell you, this is exactly the reason why I had such a problem with the Canandropur stuff. Or the Canandropur stuff. I thought that's the scene I wanted at the border. That was what I thought, like that's the vision I had for that scene. And then it became.
You can't get that in Man of Steel as well. Like there's certain scenes where like he gets like the Jesus treatment, you know, where it's like, oh, he just freaking floats from the air and saves everyone. You know, he gets that sort of like religious aspect. Freaking. Like I would go and watch the film just to see that again, 100%.
Don't even disagree.
That's why I watched it IMAX the second time, because like, I need to see that scene in IMAX. I need to see it. Where's the reeling button?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's so good. And speaking of that, the music bangs. I'm so glad they kept the original.
Dude, I've been re-listening to like the soundtracks, like since I've seen the film. Like every day, I've been re-listening to that playlist. So good.
100%.
I do have a note about.
I'm really glad.
There's certain things I was planning on seeing this the second time if we talked about this. So there were some things I'd written down in anticipation of seeing it the second time, but I never got around to it. One of them was the score, because on the first watch, I never actually picked up on the score as being like either here, there, or there. Like I didn't really.
Dude, it's so
good. It's just the original. It's just like modernized, right? That's just like that's all really.
But like I never felt like.
I wish it was a bit louder.
Yeah, I agree. That was probably why I didn't pick up on it really. But like apart from that scene, I never really got any impression from the score really.
Saying that, the Man of Steel theme still bangs. I'm not going to say the disrespect to that, because that
well, that's because is that not Hans Zimmer's?
Yeah.
Well, of course it bangs.
Because when we went to that Hans Zimmer show, that was the first one they played. I was like, I'm freaking locked in.
Yeah.
Yes. Honestly. I think of other big points.
I think.
Here's one. I'm really glad that they just got the Bizarro stuff out the way in the first film, because I actually really don't like that storyline, or like, the idea of cloning and stuff. Like, it's such a boring concept to me. But I'm just glad they were like, you know what, we're just gonna get this out the way now, so in the future we don't need to freaking worry about this. Because
no, I think he's coming back.
It's such an obvious, like, to me, it's such a sequel trope where it's like, oh, they cloned you. And it's like, all right, mate.
Well, and honestly, this is kind of part of the film, and I know this is like a fun film. It's not meant to be too deep, but there's some good character stuff in here for like a lot of the characters, really. But one of the things I found really strange with the film, especially in like the third act when it is revealed he is a clone of Superman, was that given a lot of this film was about Clark and Superman's identity on Earth, what does it mean? Like, especially the parents' message, which I thought I was really into. That's when I was like properly really into the film as well. In the beginning, when it was like, oh, you're not here to save it. Your parents sent you here to fucking conquer it. But you've been raised by the Kents, which is another one of my perfect notes. I fucking love the Kents in this film.
Also, what I loved about that is it confirmed, like, this isn't a fake message. This is legit, like...
Yeah. This is what their intent was.
Okay.
But given that that's the setup, and given that he's young, he's still figuring out who he is as Clark. Like, he seems kind of figured out as Clark, apart from some of the Lois stuff and all that. But as Superman, he's still working the ropes out. I thought it was so strange that such a focus of the film is on identity and who he wants to be and why, and that he's challenged by his parents' message. But it's about his roots and it's about his choices as a man and growing up. 6 experiences. That's the whole point of the film. It's literally the bookend of the film as well, with him viewing his parents' videos. But given that he's cloned, there's no like wrestling with identity of the clone. There's no like, oh, I can be cloned. This is a carbon copy of me. Given that a lot of the film revolves around his identity, I thought it was really strange that you're given this blank slate of Superman. And I get that his presence alone, being evil, is a statement of that, is that the clone doesn't have the Kents to raise him. He was raised in a lab by Lex Luthor. But there's no like further development into that. And I thought it was so strange they just like kill the clone, essentially throw him into a fucking black hole.
I would guarantee that clone comes back.
Oh, 100%. I'm under no illusion that he's not coming back because he didn't die on screen. But I just find it so strange that
he went in a black hole.
Yeah, but
and James Gunn but James Gunn doesn't really bring things back.
But he might not be doing the feature films as well. Like, obviously he's going to be in charge, but like, I think I would honestly put money on him coming back.
Fair enough. Well, I would put money against. You've heard it here, viewers. You've heard it here, viewers.
A fiver. There's a fiver on the line.
Okay, let's do it then.
But what do you think about? Because like that was quite strange to me, for that to be like a central theme of the film, but never actually be brought up in any capacity at all.
I'll be absolutely honest with you, mate. I didn't think about that until you said it. You've made a very good point. I did not process that at all. I was too busy probably being salty over the portal. I didn't process that.
He holds grudges, people.
I do.
I haven't realised this yet.
I still hate The Flash. Don't go see The Flash. Don't waste your money. Don't buy it.
Don't worry, no one did. It lost them all money.
I guess the only time where I wish they sort of reflected was like, because they literally at the start of the film, obviously can't really do this at the start of the film, but at the start of the film they specify like he is the most powerful being in the world, and today he lost his first fight. Yet he doesn't feel like he's that bothered. He's like, all right, let's get back on my feet. Yeah. Let's go back out. But it's not like, oh shoot, I thought I was the strongest, and then I've just been
not
beaten.
Anymore.
I like that though.
Again, I'm not even thinking about it. Like I'm not gonna get. I'm not gonna microanalyze every single scene, but like, you know, like if I'm to like have nitpicks, I guess there's stuff like that. But
see, I'm against that. I'm against you, Brandon. No, I like that because I thought that was very like with his character where he was like, yeah, okay, I got beat. Let's heal up and go again, because like he's very like that throughout the whole film. So
he is.
I thought it was very like true to his character.
I think especially because he's such a relatable.
But I'm saying that we don't know his character at that point though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like there's nothing to even base off in the first 5 minutes. It's just like he's been Aspie. He's not even spoke his first line yet until he gets healed. You know, so I don't know. But again, I don't even really care that much. I'm just trying to think of things to complain about because honestly, I don't have many things to actually have a problem with in the film.
Well, Oh, sorry, Robert. You know what? Go on. Go.
No, I was just going to say, I think we, the three of us, all agree that this is the best. Well, I would definitely say this is the best Superman live action film we've ever had, and I have, even though like I had two like things I didn't like about the film, I've thoroughly enjoyed like everything else. Like I love the costume, the practical effects. There was obviously I'm the biggest hater in CGI. There were scenes that I didn't like, but it wasn't damaging like thunderbolts and stuff like that. So I was like, I shut my mouth and I carried on, and I think this is the best we've had of any of these characters that's ever showed on screen. Like the Jimmy Olsen guy, incredible. Like all of them were just incredible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the pieces are well done.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily certain for me, and this goes back to the two trailers. Everything comes back to these two trailers. I honestly cannot say that the film met my expectations of those first two trailers. There's something about the tone or the vibe or the feeling that those trailers gave me of like, fuck, all right, this is Superman. Probably bar that scene in the car. There's no moment in this where I'm like, fuck, beacon of hope. Like, I get that he's a good guy and he's just trying to do his best, and he does throughout the film. But bar a few scenes, I never get the like, oh my god.
Like, I do think that is because it's his first film, though.
It could
be.
but
I think James. My understanding of this film is like, yeah, he's only been Superman for 3 years, so it's like,
I know
he's not that beacon of hope that
for me. That wasn't the trailer. That wasn't the trailers for me, and that's what I kind of thought was going to be like the end of this film. But I didn't really. It didn't. For me, it didn't deliver on that 100%. So, and it's strange because like, this is why I'm kind of desperate to go for a second viewing, honestly, because everyone's loving the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost everyone I've seen some reviews and stuff that have some of the like share opinions with me or have slightly different ones or whatever. But generally, this is a very positive reaction to this film. But given how hyped I was and how on board I was for this film, I can't say that this is like I couldn't say this was like a masterpiece of like in the same way that I think like Spider-Man, the trilogy, like the Raimi films are.
Yeah,
I don't
but it's also like if you're viewing it as like an introduction to a new series and universe, I think it banged it. Like I set up a lot of characters and conflicts 100%. And stuff that
I know it does, but
would you not say
come at the expense of other things for me?
But would you not say that this is the first time in the right direction for any superhero Superman film we've had? Like this is like,
well, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not saying by any means this is a bad introduction to the world, or I think it's a pretty good introduction to the world. But I'm thinking like for Superman, I just had different expectations, and that's why I want to go see it again because I think I did give it. I think I am treating it kind of unfairly, but also I do think there is like
there's problems with the film. 100%.
There's definitely there's problems with any film,
yeah,
but
100%.
And it's not just that; it's the fact that it's like the good things in this film are very good, and the things I don't like about this film, with time, the more I think about them, are getting worse in my head. When I came out of the film, or when I was watching the film, like my brain would just turn off in certain scenes, like the river, for example. Mm-hmm. But things like that building crashing and him coming out, like him just hovering in the air, like 10 out of 10, fine, no notes, whatever, it's great. But it's like the highs get higher with time for me, but the lows get lower as well. Where there's some things where I'm like, why the fuck have they done that? Like to me, like that whole like third act of like ripping the city open, that's just boring to me. And that just gets worse and worse in my head. And like some of the crypto stuff at the end and the clone and all that, it just feels a bit like, oh, just shove it in a black hole, just shove him in prison, da-da-da-da. And I get it's like a comic film, what are you going to do? But like, it kind of doesn't, I don't know. And this is why I'm so like, I want to go see it again, because it's not, in my head, it's not gelling as like a final product of like, yes, okay, we're done. We've hit the ground running. And I feel so bad to not be giving it like I've seen a few podcasts, a few reviews. People are like, oh, 9 out of 10. I'm not going to give it a 10 because nothing's perfect, but 9 out of 10 and da-da-da-da. And honestly, for me, this is like 7.5, 8 at a push.
That's fine. You know, in curiosity, where would you put Iron Man?
The first Iron Man, That's a good question.
I think I gave it
because
like
I think that's the best comparison we can give right now because it's like the first introduction to these worlds, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Iron Man did it really well too. Like obviously that's freaking set the standard for that sort of thing. Well, just being an Iron Man film, I think the difference is like it focuses on Iron Man. It also means you don't really get Rhodey in that film. Who freaking cares about Rhodey? And like you only really care about Pepper and Tony in that film, you know, and that's pretty much it.
Cared about Obadiah
Whereas in
Stane
this
until
film,
he
I feel like I care
died.
about way more people, as well as they set up the world. I'm not going to say set up the world better, but like they set up a lot of stuff in the world that's going to be interesting to go forward and stuff, especially like the government and stuff and how they view heroes and all that jazz. But I don't know. I don't even know where I'd rank it either, to be honest. Because like on coming out, like during that like that driving scene, I could be like 10 out of 10. But like in all honesty, it's probably like closer to like a 8, probably to be. Again, like based on like pure entertainment and stuff as well, not just like critique.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. The thing that's really given me like this is enough. It's fine for what it is, even though it's not like internally my expectations. The thing I keep coming back to is like if you had a kid or like if you have a young kid or whatever at home, are they gonna love this film? 100%. This is gonna be like he is gonna be Superman for the kids growing up now.
Yeah.
Like 100%. In the way that maybe like a Cavill wouldn't maybe people would be like kids might be interested in him, but they're not going to be like flocking for like fuck.
I don't think Cavill had the same effect. I think Cavill was more for like your teenage Snyder fans.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, freaking sick.
I think there's definitely kids. There's definitely kids that would have grown up with that as like their Superman, but I don't think to nearly the extent, not to nearly the extent that people will come out of this film and their kids will be like, oh my god, I'm in love with Superman.
Exactly, yeah.
And frankly, that for me, that's
really
like
good foundation for things to go in, and that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
And that's what the film needed to do as a introduction to DC again, or reintroduction.
Yeah.
I should say. Because now we've got Supergirl next year, so
I'm just happy it's colourful and it's fun and it's bright and it's still got like emotional character moments like the interview and stuff like that, and like Robert was saying, that scene with the squid in the background, it's still got like emotional weight to it as well, and it's still got well like rounded arcs and stuff. And frankly, to do that to Superman as well and for it to kind of land, it's kind of impressive because like he doesn't always get that in films. Really, he tends to have kind of a flat arc or like a very samey arc of like, oh, just. And to be fair, they're not doing anything like really new here, but it's like it's simple and it's well done, and I'm on board, so I'm happy. Overall happy, but
I think we're all rating it the same though. Like I think
it's just different emphasis. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all coming to that conclusion because I wouldn't put it higher than an 8 point. Not 8.5. A 7.5. I've read the film.
You wouldn't put anything higher than a 7.5.
No, I wouldn't. But I had like
I'm in a weird spot though because I feel like F1 was probably the better film, and so I technically rate that higher. But I enjoyed this film more. So it's like, how the hell do I navigate that? You know, so like that's my favorite rating systems. Where I'm like, I technically did enjoy Superman more than F1, but F1 is the better film, just on paper. You know, so it's like hard to like rank them.
F1's unfair though. F1 is just Cars 3 written backwards. But
that's true.
also, I gave Aaron. Right. Okay. This is a hot take. So I gave Captain America 1 7, Captain Marvel 5, Iron Man 1 7, and Iron Man 2 6. So I'd give this higher than any of them.
Any of those.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
And I stand with that.
For me, so in the future, like look into the future, do you want James? Because for me, from this film, I'm happy for James Gunn to have the reins of DC, but honestly, I would rather he didn't do the mainline Superman films like as a trilogy, say. I would rather someone else did it.
I would rather James Gunn continues directing Superman,
because all of my least favorite things in this are like his flares. I mean, some of my favorite things are also some of his isms as well. But like, and like the way he deals with the characters, and he can balance like larger casts and stuff. That stuff's all like obviously a pro of having him on board. But a lot of the scenes I don't like are they're like him. They're his essence. And I can't say I want more of that from Superman. Fair enough, if there's like a Suicide Squad or, like you say, Peacemaker getting involved. And he got his little cameo as well, which is fun. But
that was fun. I did like that.
Things like that. I'm happy for him to be involved in things like that, where he kind of has his team, where he can like give that merit and kind of give that its flair that he usually has. I can't say I ever want that from Superman again.
Well,
really.
Yeah, like I said, he's apparently not directing anything and going forward. It's just he's going to be the guy behind the scenes. He's probably going to help write some stuff. He said as well, like when it comes to Batman, this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have a campy Batman. Batman's still going to be a more broody, dark character, gothic character. It's not going to have like these freaking.
I think it's quite clear that
like,
this universe
this Superman vibe is going to stick to Superman. Supergirl's going to have a different vibe.
Well, and that's where the intrigue comes from.
Vibe, you know?
I think this is where part of the Snyderverse fails as well. I know this has become just like Snyderverse, but like you can't not compare it as well. But I think this is part of where that Justice League kind of fails, is that everyone's exactly the same. They're all dour motherfuckers. They're all drunks and unhappy.
Yeah.
They're not really in the best place. But I think this is where like the interest of the Justice League comes for me. It's like if you're if you say like your Batman's dark, your Superman's bright, put them together. That's where the interest comes from. It's not Man of Steel's fucking dour.
Honestly, it's just the Marvel format, right? It's like you got your main characters, and they all feel completely different going into Avengers, and it's like, okay, sick. We've got all this interesting dynamics going on now. You know, it's not just everyone's moody.
I think that's why the Snyderverse doesn't really work though, because when Superman and Batman fight, it's like, but they're both just depressed.
They're both just the same guy.
Confused assholes. Like one just drinks more, like. Or can drink.
So it'll be interesting to see this new Batman with this Superman, and it's gonna be interesting for me because obviously I'm a Batman stan, so it's like
how
you have to sell me
maneuver this
when that happens. Yeah,
you know what
But I'm excited for it. I'm excited.
I know we need to be wrapping up quite soon, but I know I really want for Batman is the grey and blue and yellow suit. I really want that so bad. Like I want them, because you know how Superman's like back to the trunks, we're back to the original look. I really want to have like the original look for Batman, but obviously modernized. I think that would be so nice.
I want them to try and work in a way to get the white eyes. That's what I'm kind of.
Yeah.
Agreed. 100%.
That's what I miss from the films. I'm playing the Telltale Batman. He has white eyes when he's in the Batsuit. I'm like,
yeah, man.
Sick. I like the white eyes.
I think the thing is as well. I think in the same way that this film is kind of just will assume certain knowledge about the characters just to hit the ground running. Batman will be the same. Where it's like I think there'll be more introduction, and I think there'll be in the similar way of like the Justice Gang and stuff like that. I think things in the Batman will be a bit more like the Bat family. It'll be a bit more of a focus than it has been ever.
That's what they're setting up apparently, like the Robins and stuff, which I like because we've not really had that in the films since Mr. Freeze. So it'd be nice. But also the hard thing Batman's going to have is that everyone's going to compare it to Robert Pattinson Batman because that's still getting made. You know, so it's like you're really going to have to try and sell us on both of them.
But at the same time, it's like this is the universe we've got. You've just got to accept that's what they want to do as well. But
100%.
And that we're allowed to get, because people are. I'm really happy that people are, and the studios are aware that people are able to watch multiversal films that don't necessarily take place in the same timeline. Some people might be confused, but like you'll get the gist. You know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, Robert Pattinson's not Batman, all right, but then his film will come out and it'll be like, oh, it's a different Batman. I'm happy that that's like being normalized because there's a lot of potential obviously there that isn't even to do with like tying together multiverse things. But yes, so
it is.
In summary, I think we're all excited for it. Which is, when was the last time? Essentially, were either of us excited for the Snyderverse as it was happening to build? Not really.
Mate, they killed Superman in their second film. Who gives a rat's ass? You know what I mean?
The only character Snyder got right was Wonder Woman. Everything else was garbage.
Even then, her second film was supposed to be.
Exactly.
Wasn't it? He didn't direct those films though.
No, but I'm saying like in his like Batman v Superman and the Snyder cut, she's the only one he did all right.
Yeah, most people liked her.
Yeah, but everyone else was absolutely. I have not been this excited for DC since the Young Justice Season 1 TV show came out.
I don't think I've ever been this excited for anything DC apart from maybe another Arkham game, to be honest. So
I'm just not any reason to, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just
Oh,
like,
no. I tell a
they've
lie.
all just
No,
been
sorry.
one-off films.
No, sorry. I tell a lie. Suicide Squad 2. I was really excited when I heard. I was excited for that one, and I would still put that in like my. I think I put that in like my top like 5 favorite superhero films of all time.
Like in the sense of like this film ended. Are you excited for Supergirl, for example? Are you excited for this story
Yes.
to continue?
Yeah.
Stuff? I feel like most people are going to say yes. You know,
I'm more
Whereas, like,
excited
Suicide Squad
for
and Batman stuff were just like one-offs, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to expect stuff from that.
I'm more excited for what DC is going to give us than what Marvel is because of this.
At the moment, yeah, but
Like-
this is because
like,
Marvel's had a pretty rough job in the last 5 years setting stuff up.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I know,
Thunderbolts is the only film to actually like set something up that had payoff, and it's like, all right,
Yes.
finally,
Yeah.
we're actually moving the story. You know,
I
Yeah.
know.
I think
I
that's
know
why
this.
everyone freaking loves Thunderbolts, because like finally,
Yeah.
we're progressing.
Here's a hot take before we go. I have no interest in Fantastic Four. There we go. That's my hot
Wow.
take of the episode.
let's see how that'll age in a few weeks, folks, because it's not long on the heels of this.
Next week, pretty much, it comes out next week. Next Thursday.
Is it next week?
Yeah.
I'll need to see it
Yeah.
before I bounce.
So, do we have any rounding off comments then on Superman?
This is my Superman live action.
This is your.
They did it for me.
Yeah,
And I think going forward.
I appreciate everything they've set up. I'm looking forward to what's coming next, and honestly, that's the most they probably could have asked for, because that was the point of this film anyway, was to set up this new series. So it's like I'm in for the ride.
I'm glad we've had some different takes on certain things, and I think we all
say this. We all think the same scene's the best scene. So that's
and actually overall, in terms of like the grand scope of things, we're all on the same page. It's just like different emphasis on different things. What we
value
want.
different things, isn't it?
Yeah. But
like I think they should have had the photo booth scene, not the phone booth scene. But hey,
I could take more. I could take more quirk and charm, honestly.
Yeah, man.
Like some throwback stuff. I could take more of that as well. I think don't be scared to do stuff like that, especially with Superman. Don't be scared to do shit like that, because you might not get that with other characters.
Exactly.
I will say my like one line summary would be like, in my opinion, for better or for worse, this is a James Gunn film, and that's for better and for worse, not or.
Okay.
The highs are because of James Gunn, but also the lows are. So there you go. That's how we feel.
Well,
anyhow,
there we go. We'll see you in 9 months' time.
9 months' time. When we have another baby, we'll have twins.
When I get Ryan pregnant this time, instead of you getting me pregnant. Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh yeah, Robert had a baby.
Yeah, I had a baby.
What'd you call it?
It's called. Wait, is it a boy or a girl?
I don't give a fuck. It's your fucking baby. Is it a boy or a girl? Bro is not. Bro cannot cope with a hot seat. Is it a boy or a girl? It's your fucking kid, bro.
Sorry. The child, it is called.
Okay, that's enough of that bit.
Honestly, we should end it right there. Cut it. Add that.
Find out next week.
Cut.
Wait, no, I've got a name. Okay, my daughter is called Craigie.
Yeah, all right.
Nice.
I'll cut that. It's fine. I'll cut that in post.
Yeah. Cut the post.
I'll do a Woody's roundup. Someone will listen to this in like 10 years and they'll be like, "What was the kid's name?" It'd be like, "They never filmed another episode." Like,
he got sacked. Sacked.
Happy days.